Step 3 of the volleyball playoffs did not pan out as we all had hoped, as the Jaguars suffered a 5-set loss to number 8 ranked West Central area. On the QRF scale of MinnesotaScores.net, the Knights were down at number 12, and I think most people understand that they're better than a number 12 ranked team in the state. Jaguars, meanwhile, have hovered at number 2 pretty much all of the latter half of this season. They've quickly went into the top 10 on the QRF when that was first calculated in September, and have had they had one of our best regular seasons in 36 years of B-B volleyball. I believe only 2 regular seasons mark better than what they did this year with 24 regular season wins. 24 or 25. I don't have that at the tip of my tongue. The 2008 squad finished 31-2 overall, with Coach Borgerding's older sister Emily Relke being one of the senior leaders on that team in 2008, fall of 2008. Coach Kevin Weller, in his second season, the Jaguars placed 4th at state way back now 16 years ago. But fast forward to this year, the top-ranked Jaguars, the top-seeded Jaguars, went down 0-2 in sets, and I think in game 1, I'm not sure what happened. After they built a 10-6 lead, it seemed like they almost had this, what you could call a fear of losing, but or sometimes, you as a sports team, you find yourself ahead, you find things going well, and that can almost startle you. And I don't know if that's what it was, and I think people can go back and hash it over and look things over and always wonder what could have happened if we could have split those first 2 sets, or if we could have pulled out set number 2, where we looked very good for big parts of that second set, but ultimately lost 25-23. That one was just excruciating and just a very difficult loss to see. The Knights went on an 8-1 run late in set number 2 to go up 2-0 in sets, and it does illustrate rally scoring volleyball, which we now have had continuously since 2003. I do recall going back to that fall. I remember colleges had started to adopt it in the early 2000s. I don't recall which levels or how it got adopted at the NCAA level, but it had come in and then filtered down to the high school. Naturally, of course, high schools would want to shift that way. And in 2003, Minnesota High School League voted and shifted to rally scoring, where the sets went, instead of getting to 15 points, you have to go to 23, a race to 20, or 25. So a race to 25, you have to win by 2. And back before this, before all of our modern day athletes, high school athletes were even born, you had to get a side out and serve the ball in order to earn that point on that rally. That was the old school, old style of high school volleyball. But rally scoring, anyone can earn the point on any serve. It has turned volleyball into just a crazy entertaining sport where a strong server or a hot hitter with a hot hand can completely take over a game, a match, and it's made it an exciting sport. I think that it's panned out in terms of the changes that they wanted to adapt for this girls' sport, and it's generated a lot more interest, I would argue, in the last 20 years, and made the sport a lot more exciting. But unfortunately, it did not go our way last night. It was a very tough loss. It was hard for me to process that and look through my notes and just see the different junctures of the night and where things, it's just up and down, up and down. But I want to really stress how we have to be proud. We should be proud of our girls for what they did. It's very hard to rally when things don't go your way. Maybe a server struggles, and then to see that person come back and that player come back and really shine in that part of the game. You just have to give a tip of the hat to our athletes and what they do and what they sacrifice and what their families sacrifice, almost in a year-round capacity. Even though a lot of our athletes, I'll just point out Casey Fisher, Cammie Fisher, 3-sport athletes, they give their heart and soul year-round to our athletic program. They're well-rounded students. They're very involved in school and other activities. And we just have to tip our hats to the sacrifices they make and the hard work that they put in. And you look at rosters of other teams and you look at the work that other teams put in, and you gotta realize most athletes put in almost the same amount of work and dedication. I'll take, for example, teams that are lower, maybe lower in the standings in the Central Minnesota Conference. I would argue that they put in, they dedicate just as much as our kids do. But here at B-B-E, we are blessed by having very skilled, talented athletes. I think we do put in extra in the off season that helps set us apart. But you have to respect all athletes that go out on the court, whether they're on a team that goes 1-6 in a conference schedule or a team that goes 6-1 like our team did. And you look at West Central area, they played in the West Central Conference. They went 11-3, or did they go 12-2? I'd have to look that up. They were one match out of first place in the West Central Conference. A rugged conference near the top. The West Central Conference has some poor schools near the bottom of their standings, but near the top, they are tough as nails. Sauk Center, Bold, Melrose, Minnewaska, some outstanding volleyball in the West Central Conference. So this was a true heavyweight match that did not go our way. It's just hard. It's hard to process that because I like West Central area's chances on Saturday, and I feel like if we would have won, I would have also liked our chances Saturday night and made for some state tournament excitement for us next week. But we have to wait for next year to see what we can do. We lose some very talented seniors, of course, and we will recover, and they will rebuild and regroup. We have a deep bench, quote unquote. We had a JV squad that was outstanding. C squad was outstanding, just outstanding. Well, you could say the JV and the C squad teams. I love our coaching staff. They're very dedicated. I know they work. They're talking all throughout the week. They're communicating and coming up with game plans and scouting and going through scouting reports. So just a tip of the hat to all the work that goes into our Jaguar volleyball program. For 36 years, you just have to argue it has been our flagship sport. Really, probably the only other one equal to it is boys basketball, and now lately girls basketball and wrestling. So we're very lucky at BB. We've had other programs that have turned around and are running at a high level where you go back in the 2000s and the 2010s, volleyball was the premier sport at BBE, and I would say it continues to be that way. But hey, hats off to all of our other sports and what they've done and the work that the athletes have put in to raise the caliber of what their teams can do each throughout the year in their respective seasons. So hats off to the volleyball team. now we shift our focus to football, and it's going to consume much of the next 48 hours for me and for my sports department as we gear up for a trip to Fargo tomorrow night on Thursday, and hopefully make for a pretty calm Friday morning as we'll make our way from our hotel in Fargo over to the Fargo Dome on Friday morning. I want everyone to pray for the safety of all of our kids. It's 140 some miles based on my MapQuest mapping. It's a 2.5-hour drive over expansive spaces of western Minnesota going up to North Dakota. So there's a lot of danger involved. We just want to encourage everyone to be safe, encourage use of the charter bus that the school has sponsored. I don't have those details at my fingertips, but communicate, do carpools and things like that. I still haven't even looked at if you got to buy tickets online or not. Lastly, I want to give a hats off to the staff of Fergus Falls High School for being just a wonderful host. It was just so professional every step of the way before, during, and after the match in terms of how the whole thing was conducted and the announcing and just everything was really outstanding. It's a spacious gym that we managed to fill up with the 4 schools colliding in that gym for the 2 subsection finals. I do not like the online ticketing. In fact, I hate it, and I hope that this push to a cashless society is resisted at every step of the way, and we resist and resist as much as we can. But I don't want to make this political, but I absolutely hate the idea of online ticketing, and I hope we can resist it as long as we can. But beyond that, I think that everything was really great at Fergus Falls. I really wish we could have met at Minnewaska last night, our 2 schools. And I might as well explain the thought processes I've had in the last 24 hours in terms of, is it fair for us to have to drive about 80 miles up there to face West Central area when it's almost a home game for them? And I just thought, there's many ways to look at that. Like the other side of the coin is life's not always fair, and that is adversity and an extra obstacle to overcome for us to try to bring fans to Fergus Falls on a school night, on a work night. And yes, that made it tough. And yes, our fan section was smaller, but sometimes things aren't always stacked in your favor. Things can go your way for other playoff venues. So I just don't think, for me, it rises to the level where I think we need to protest and push for changes. If we remain in Section 6A, let's face it, that Fergus Falls site is a great site. It allows both finals to be played there. It is centrally located for Section 6A. So that's just not a battle I'm going to take on. It's adversity that we had to face. And we met the challenge. We had great fans there. Our student section was, again, yes, smaller than what West Central area had, but you got to remember those teenagers for WCA had maybe a 20 to 30 minute drive, depending on where they drove up from their school district, from Hoffman, Barrett, Kensington, Elbow Lake. Elbow Lake's only about a 20-minute. It's an easy 25-minute drive. From, if I'm standing in the center of Elbow Lake, it's a 25-minute drive to get to Kennedy High School in Fergus. So they had a much bigger fan section, but ultimately that didn't matter. Our girls met the challenge. They fought the whole way. They were down 5-0 in Game 5, and they fought back. And that's a huge hill in Game 5. They were down 11-6 at one point, 13-10. 14-10. They never laid down. They fought all the way to the end, falling 15-12 in that last set. Well, that's all I have. Sounds like winter's coming and actual snow might be in the forecast, so it means the signal of short season for me and shorts weather. might be the time to dust off my different outfit for the winter. But it's been a good run. It's been a great volleyball season, and now we shift over to football.